Hi, this is Scott at supportbahrainrights.com, and I wanted to bring up a very important legal principle that all Bahrainis should be aware of in demanding justice from this current human rights investigation. And I'm bringing this up because of a heated exchange of letters between Nabeel Rajab and Cherif, Bassiouni, the head of the Bahraini Independent Commission of Inquiry. And that legal principle that I wanted to bring up is called a Prima Facie case. And what that principle basically says is if you have enough evidence to show that something very wrong has occurred, it is now up to the defense to try to contradict it, to try to disprove it. And in this case, the Bahraini people do have a very strong prima facie case that the Bahraini government knew about widespread torture for months and had deliberately refused to stop it. And what that is basically from the very widespread claims of torture. We're dealing with hundreds of victims, and also the numerous human rights reports that were published at the time, which were well known by the public and by the government, and that had been published and that had been discussed in the news. So the reason why I'm bringing that up is Cherif Bassiouni. He made a statement he definitely should not have made, which appeared in news articles on August 5. Cherif Bassiouni, he said that he was impressed with the recent suspension of police officers and release of detainees. So it led him to believe that there never was a policy of excessive use of force or torture. It was really a matter of lower level people acting. Nabeel Rajab was outraged by this, and rightfully outraged by it, and wrote a letter on August 9, an open letter, emphasizing that the claims of torture was widespread. There were many reports by human rights organizations, and Cherif Bassiouni was making his statements without even being nearly complete with the full investigation. Cherif Bassiouni responded in a letter very defensively on August 9, in a manner that really suppressed discussion of the important legal issues rather than truly addressing them. What Cherif Bassiouni stated is, as a lawyer, you know that each of these crimes has separate legal elements that need to be established. Moreover, I am sure you know the legal differences between individual criminal responsibility and the responsibility of superiors. Then Bassiouni stated that the human rights reports were secondary evidence and it's premature to reach any conclusions. Now, Cherif Bassiouni's letter did not address the importance of a prima facie case, and yes, Nabeel Rajab had every right to emphasize that widespread claims of torture and well-known human rights reports are important in establishing a prima facie case that the Bahraini government had deliberately allowed torture to continue on a widespread basis for months. So Cherif Bassiouni, his letter did not address that, really did not address that at all. So another thing that I want to emphasize is that the human rights reports are not just secondary evidence. They should be followed up for many important reasons. For one is that they show public knowledge and governmental knowledge of the widespread human rights abuses that were occurring. In fact, one important case is Ibrahim Matar. It would be very hard to believe that the government would just allow out-of-control individuals to actually torture former members of parliament. But yes, the reports are important for establishing public knowledge and governmental knowledge. Secondly, the reports provide important leads. The reports about torturing doctors and wounded patients show that major violations of the Geneva Conventions may have been occurring, and that these are crimes against humanity. So that needs to be pursued, and these reports are important leads for that. And thirdly, these reports have a great deal of verifiable data. The human rights organizations put a lot of time into interviewing many people. That data should be followed up on and further verified. In fact, we also have reports showing that not only was the abuse widespread, but that torture has been occurring in Bahrain for many years. You have Human Rights Watch. They have a report called Torture Redux, which is posted online, where they were emphasizing that Bahrain has been using electroshock, suspension, and sexual threats in torturing people for many years. And the Bahrain Center for Human Rights has a video where they were interviewing many people, and that they had filed over 70 complaints, formal complaints, because of this type of torture, which had been occurring over a period of time. So we not only have torture being widespread, but we also have it occurring over a long period of time. Human Rights Watch also emphasized that you have government policies actual government policies that contributed to the torture. And that is the policies of enforced disappearances. According to Human Rights Watch, let me see here, it's called Bahrain Investigate New Death in Custody, and it was published in April. It says, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which Bahrain ratified in 1998, requires that anyone arrested shall be promptly informed of any charges and brought before a judge or other judicial authority. The refusal of the authorities to acknowledge a person's detention or provide information on their fate or whereabouts is an enforced disappearance, a violation of several international standards. So by essentially isolating people and disappearing them for months, the Bahraini government allowed people to be tortured for months. Furthermore, I would like to emphasize that we still have important cases that need to be followed up on, and what comes to mind heavily is Abdulhadi Alkhawaja. He was beaten so severely that he required that, he wrote a letter from Bahrain prison on June 19, which states, due to the severe beating I received upon my arrest, he had to undergo surgeries, and he was asking for medical help. So this is a case of an enforced disappearance, somebody who had been beaten so severely that he required surgery, an unfair trial, and a life sentence. And it'd be very hard for me to believe that none of that had the knowledge of governmental higher-ups either. So please do follow up on this. Thank you.